The art of tattooing has a rich history dating back thousands of years. Evidence suggests that tattooing has been practiced across the globe since ancient times. One of the oldest examples of tattooing was found on Otzi the Iceman. Otzi, a well-preserved mummy discovered in the Alps, dates back to 3370 BC. His body bore over 60 tattoos, created by rubbing charcoal into small incisions. These markings provide a fascinating glimpse into the early practices of tattooing. The ancient Egyptians also practiced tattooing. Archaeological evidence suggests that Egyptian women in particular favored tattoos. These tattoos were often associated with fertility and protection. They used tools made from bone or bronze to create intricate designs. These designs often featured images of gods, animals, and other symbolic motifs. Tattooing was also prevalent in other parts of the ancient world. In ancient China, tattoos were associated with both social status and spirituality. Intricate designs, often featuring dragons and other mythical creatures, adorned the bodies of warriors and nobles. The Japanese also have a long and rich history of tattooing. Traditional Japanese tattoos, known as irizumi, are renowned for their vibrant colors and elaborate designs. The practice of tattooing in ancient times was not merely decorative. Tattoos served a variety of purposes, from religious rituals to social markers. They were used to identify individuals, mark social status, protect against evil spirits, and even as a form of punishment. The significance and meaning of tattoos varied widely across cultures, reflecting the unique beliefs and traditions of each society. As civilizations evolved, so too did the practice of tattooing. It continued to hold significant cultural and spiritual meaning across different societies. In Polynesian culture, for instance, tattooing was an integral part of their heritage. Large-scale designs, known as tattoo, covered the entire body, telling stories of lineage, status, and courage. These tattoos were painstakingly applied using hand-tapped needles and ink made from natural ingredients. In the Americas, indigenous tribes developed their unique tattooing traditions. Native American tribes, such as the Inuit and the Haida, used tattoos to express their clan affiliations, spiritual beliefs, and personal identities. These tattoos were often applied using needles made from bone or sharpened stones, and the ink was derived from natural pigments found in plants and minerals. In some cultures, tattoos served as rites of passage, marking significant life events. For example, in certain African tribes, young men and women received tattoos upon reaching adulthood, signifying their readiness for marriage and responsibilities within the community. These tattoos were often applied on the face, chest, or back, and were seen as symbols of strength, beauty, and social standing. Despite their prevalence and cultural significance, tattoos have not always been universally accepted. In some societies, they were associated with criminality or seen as taboo. However, the enduring appeal of tattooing persisted, and it continued to be practiced in various forms throughout history. The 18th century saw the resurgence of tattooing in the Western world, largely due to the voyages of Captain James Cook and his crew. Cook's expeditions to the Pacific Islands brought Europeans into contact with heavily tattooed indigenous populations. Sailors, fascinated by this ancient art form, began getting tattooed themselves, bringing the practice back to Europe. Sailors often got tattoos as a form of identification. If they died at sea, their tattoos could help identify their bodies. They also got tattoos to commemorate their travels on the ships they sailed on. Popular tattoo designs included anchors, ships, nautical stars, and mermaids. As tattooing gained popularity among sailors, it also began to spread to port cities around the world. Tattoo parlors started popping up in places like London, New York, and Sydney, catering to the growing demand for ink. These early tattoo parlors were often rough and tumble establishments frequented by sailors, soldiers, and other working-class individuals. However, tattooing was still largely seen as a subculture phenomenon associated with the fringes of society. It would take several more decades for tattoos to begin their journey towards mainstream acceptance. Section 4. The rise of the tattoo machine, a revolution in ink. The invention of the electric tattoo machine in the late 19th century revolutionized the practice of tattooing. Samuel O'Reilly, a New York tattoo artist, patented the first electric tattoo machine in 1891. His invention was based on Thomas Edison's electric pen, a device originally intended for engraving. O'Reilly's tattoo machine used a needle to puncture the skin and deposit ink into the dermis, the layer of skin below the epidermis. This allowed for more precise and efficient tattooing, and it also made it possible to create more intricate and detailed designs. The electric tattoo machine quickly gained popularity among tattoo artists, and it remains the standard tool for tattooing today. The invention of the electric tattoo machine coincided with a growing interest in hygiene and sanitation. Tattoo artists began to adopt stricter sterilization practices, which helped to improve the safety of tattooing. This was an important step in changing public perception of tattooing, which had often been associated with disease and unsanitary conditions. Despite these advancements, tattooing remained a largely underground practice for much of the 20th century. It was often associated with counterculture movements and marginalized groups. However, the seeds of change had been sown, and tattoos were slowly but surely making their way towards broader acceptance. Section 5. From sideshow spectacle to mainstream art, a change in perception. In the early 20th century, tattoos were often seen as shocking or taboo. They were associated with sailors, circus performers, and criminals. Tattooed individuals were sometimes exhibited in sideshows, where they would display their elaborate body art for the amusement of audiences. However, societal attitudes towards tattoos began to shift in the mid-20th century. The counterculture movement of the 1960s and 70s embraced tattoos as a form of rebellion and self-expression. Rock stars, actors, and other celebrities began getting tattooed, which helped to normalize tattoos and make them more acceptable to the general public. As tattoos gained popularity, the quality of tattoo artistry also improved significantly. Tattoo artists began to experiment with new styles and techniques, pushing the boundaries of what was possible with ink and needles. Realistic portraits, intricate tribal designs, and vibrant watercolor tattoos became increasingly common. The rise of social media in the 21st century further accelerated the mainstreaming of tattoos. Tattoo artists and enthusiasts now had a global platform to share their work and connect with each other. Instagram, in particular, became a hub for tattoo inspiration, with millions of users showcasing their ink and following their favorite artists.